Hello and welcome to the Curriculum Preview Grade 4 ELAR for Unit 2. I'm Felicia Wilkerson, your ELAR and Social Studies Coordinator. For today's lesson, I will guide you through the heat map and IFD analysis. You will record your thoughts and learning. You will collaborate concerning essential questions to ensure all students learn. And you will use the Content Builder and PLC documents to plan for student success. Your learning targets today are for you to be able to use the IFD to target instruction for your students, for you to understand and model how readers construct meaning through the reading process, and for you to be able to provide students with purposeful practice of active reading skills. Let's take a moment to review the local assessment blueprint for Unit 2A, Understanding Drama. The instructional days are from October 6th through October 14th. The assessment will be posted on October 10th, and the assessment should be given by October 15th. Unit 2B is Understanding Literary Nonfiction. There are 15 instructional days from October 16th through November 5th. The assessment will be posted on November 4th, and the assessment should be given by November 6th. Unit assessments are expected to be administered within 3 school days upon completion of the unit. You will also need your instructional focus document or your IFD, your content builder document, and your PLC for the reading PLC document. Now let's take a moment to review the heat map for grade 4. So we want to look on the heat map everywhere drama and literary nonfiction show up, as well as our across literary standards. We see 4.5A is our hot spot. We see 4.5 figure 19D. Student scores have decreased. Another area of concern is process standard figure 19F. So let's take a look at both of the knowledge and skill statements for both of the genres that we'll cover this 6 weeks. So we see the cognitive levels to understand, make emphasis, and draw conclusions. Our content that we're teaching are the structural patterns and features, and our context is literary nonfiction. I'm going to keep drawing your attention to the specificity. These are the types of inferences students will be able to make. This is our instructional focus. You'll see when we look at the drama knowledge and skill statements that the only thing that changes is the context. And when students are reading literary nonfiction, they're expected to respond by providing text evidence. This knowledge and skill statement is often coded with figure 19D and E. Now, for the drama knowledge and skill statements, we see it has the same cognitive expectations: understand, make emphasis, draw conclusions, provide. Our content is the same: structure, elements, and text evidence, and the only thing that's changed is the drama. So again, paying attention to the specificity tells us how to target our instruction because it's our instructional focus. Now for 4.5A, our hotspot. Our cognitive expectation is to describe. Our content is the structural elements, and our context is drama. Now the IFD provides some possible structural elements that are particular to dramatic literature. And this is what students need to be able to describe. So after reviewing our standards on the IFD, we want students to use a range of comprehension strategies to make complex inferences about the structure and elements of literary nonfiction and drama. And we want students to describe the structural elements of drama. So how will they learn it? When students are reading, they learn by constructing meaning while they read, by thinking about reading, and thinking while they're reading. Pause and ponder for a moment. How will you provide explicit instruction in the reading process, and how will you allow students to practice and show progress in the reading process? Please pause the video at this time to discuss these questions with your team. How do the TEKS address comprehension? Comprehension is addressed through our Figure 19 TEKS. So we see that the how is just as important as the what we teach. We must teach literary and informational text through the reading process. So Figure 19 A through F encompasses the reading process.
The reading process. The reading process develops critical literacy. The reading process includes before, during, and after. Before reading, establish a purpose for reading and select an appropriate text. Preview the text, looking at the cover, title, organizational features. Draw on prior knowledge of text form, author, topic, and similar texts to make predictions. During reading, gain meaning by connecting, questioning, and visualizing. Analyze the text format in order to understand how it relates to the author's purpose. Monitor comprehension by self-correcting and rereading. After reading, personally respond to the text. Make connections to students' experiences, other texts, and the world around them. Reflect on the impact of the text. Critical literacy is an integral part of literacy instruction, before, during, and after the reading process. It is not an add-on, but a lens that effective readers regularly use to bring text into focus.
So we see it is the process of reading that is most transferable to new text. Comprehension is a process that teachers can model for students through an effective lesson framework. Pause and ponder these questions. Collaborate about how this looks in the classroom and share with your group. Now let's review our content builder. We'll begin with what we want students to learn. So we'll put our knowledge and skill statement 4.5 and 4.5a. Next, we ask ourselves, what do students need to do to access learning? They need to be active readers. So we'll put our process standards, Figure 19A, B, and C here. Students also need to use context to determine the meaning of unknown words. A scaffold for learning for this standard could be 4.4a, where they describe the structural elements particular to dramatic literature. And lastly, we consider how can students demonstrate their learning. We're going to know that they were active readers and actively thinking while and about reading when they're able to make complex inferences, summarize information, and make those connections. Understanding the reading process. We need to understand that reading is a complex, multifaceted process that begins and ends with meaning. It happens over time, and we should model our thinking for students so that they can become proficient readers. It's where the reader draws on both thinking and language strategies, both inside and outside the text, to process text with understanding. And it is done before, during, and after reading. We can take what an effective reader does and make them our focus lessons to help less proficient readers. So how do I teach readers to construct meaning through the reading process? We teach readers to construct meaning through the reading process explicitly by modeling and think alouds. Supportively with supportive practice and immediate corrective and descriptive feedback. actively by engaging students in thinking, writing, and discussing text, by using graphic organizers to represent concepts and understandings. We teach readers to construct meaning through the reading process thoughtfully with the application of a variety of assessments that inform instructional choices and systematically with gradual release of responsibility. Question 2 is, how will we know students learn? By gathering evidence that shows students are able to monitor or check on their reading, search for specific information in text, and correct their own reading. Pause and ponder for a moment. What learning activities would allow you to gather these evidences of learning? Discuss with your group. Let's review the levels of thinking that we should model and expect of students. Thinking while reading and thinking about reading. Reading is thinking, so we should think while we read. That is, we should check for our own understanding of what the text says, think within the text, and recognize literary devices and structures. We also should think about our reading. That is, we should be conscious of our own connections, our own questions and responses. We should apply specific strategies and think about our thinking, and consciously examine and monitor our own brain's processes, and we should analyze and evaluate. One instructional approach to developing reading comprehension is to help readers think about their reading strategies while they're reading. Now, some clarity on what instructional activities to plan. Once we know what our learning targets are, and we have defined how we will assess students, we're able to think clearly about what combination of instruction and learning experiences will prepare students both to know and to demonstrate their learning. So, how will we know students learn? What must we do? We must design or choose assessments that serve and match the intended learning targets. We must use a variety of assessment methods, and we must write and ask questions of all types to allow for students' open-ended responses. Now let's review our PLC for the Reading PLC document. For this unit, we're in literary nonfiction and drama. We're going to employ all levels of thinking in this unit. Evidences of learning could be anything from responses to literature to text annotations or a formal essay. And we're going to have students read, write, and discuss every day, as well as use graphic organizers and working collaborative learning structures. The first strategy I want to share with you today is a strategy called Tableau. Now, proficient readers envision the action and events described in the text. They create a mental movie. A tableau is one frame of that movie. So, how can we get students to describe how the structural elements such as stage, direction, scenes, props, dialogue to help them make inferences? Well, one way is through enactments. Tableau is a picturesque grouping of persons or objects. It's a striking scene. Students work together to create visual pictures with their bodies, emphasizing key details and relationships. Staging a tableau involves students in all the reading comprehension strategies. The second strategy I'd like to share with you today is text-dependent questioning. It's where we ask those questions that focus a student's attention on elements and literary features of the text, where it guides students to think more analytically or critical about the text, prompt students to make inferences or go beyond the text, and help students explore the deeper meanings of the text. Close reading is one way to achieve this text-dependent questioning, because text-dependent questions ask students to perform these specific tasks while they are reading, and students read and reread for different purposes. These are some of the things that we could have a student go back and reread for. Anything from general understandings to opinions and arguments and intertextual connections. So evaluate your questioning. Does the student have to read the text to answer the question? Does the question provide an opportunity to determine academic vocabulary? Are the inference clues grounded logically in the text? And here's the major one. Is the question aligned to the specificity of the standard? Does the question stay focused on the text? And are the students gaining knowledge as a result? Question number 3 is, what can we do if students don't learn? There's no magic technique for helping struggling readers and writers. These guiding principles will help you adjust your materials and teaching for individual learners. These principles are based on what research tells us about struggling readers and writers. First, we need to meet students where they are and move them forward. Also, we can teach students to use effective strategies in their reading and writing by demonstrating effective strategies for them and provide extra support to help them eliminate ineffective strategies and adopt the new effective ones. This is done in small group guided reading. Pause and ponder. Discuss these guiding principles of support with your team. Which supports can you try? And question 4 is, how will we enrich those who do learn? We enrich those who do learn through differentiation. We can differentiate the content, that is, adapting what we teach. We can differentiate the process, that is, the sense-making activity. And we can differentiate the products. These help students individually or in groups rethink, use, and extend what they have learned. Products are important not only because they represent your students' extensive understandings and applications, but also because they are the element of curriculum that students can most directly own. I appreciate you joining me for today's curriculum preview. When you plan on implementing one of the strategies I've shared with you today, please contact me, as I'd love to see classroom implementation. Or if you would like support in any of these, contact me as well. Please turn in your PLC for the Reading PLC document to your campus designee. And until next time, goodbye.